When I was an undergraduate 6 years ago at the University of California, Irvine, our campus was infamous for its tension regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict. Pro-Palestine groups would invite very controversial speakers, and so would pro-Israel groups. Shouting matches were a common occurrence on Ring Road, where most students congregated. Now, I must tell you that growing up in diverse San Jose, my best friends were Muslim and Jewish. And so naturally, I had friends on both the sides, and I must tell you, I felt torn apart all the time. Not because they had differences in conflict, but because by looking at their interactions, they seemed to reduce long and complex histories to mere sound bites. And so this was a problem, I felt. And as I interacted with more groups, a few of us came up with the idea, perhaps a way of moving beyond these simplistic sound bites, these black and white simplicities. Let's go to the region. Let's go to Israel, Palestine, to see the daily realities, how people actually live the conflict. I mean, the American media, as we just learned a few presentations ago, reduces these things into stereotypes and simple biases. But let's go to the region. And so we decided to do that. We called ourselves the Olive Tree Initiative. My name is Kevin Pham, and today I'm going to tell you that the Olive Tree Initiative is a student initiative that promotes conflict analysis by giving students the academic preparation, the leadership training, and the experiential education to better negotiate, understand, and resolve conflicts. And so we wanted to go to the region. How do we do that? We need money. And so we went to our mosques, churches, synagogues, and communities, and we presented our stories, and we asked for money. And that was how we fundraised. And after a year, we had enough to send 20 diverse students to the region. We got on an airplane, and with curiosity in our minds, vulnerability to learn in our hearts, and a packed itinerary in our pockets, we went to the region. And for 3 weeks, we engaged with politicians, activists, students, parents who lost their children to the other. And by that way, we crossed mental borders daily, and we crossed physical borders daily. We went to their homes. We met them in their offices. We went to refugee camps and cemeteries. Now, as you can imagine, this was intense, emotionally, intellectually. But that intensity generated this strange, special kind of energy. It was this energy that only came from engaging your senses. And when we returned from the trip, that energy did not die. Anyone here who's taken high school physics knows that the first law of thermodynamics is energy can never be created or destroyed. It's only transferred to another form. And indeed, that energy was not created. It had been there. It was from the Israel-Palestine conflict that had existed. And it was not destroyed because when we came back to our communities, we presented to those mosques, synagogues, and churches that we did present at. And we started a new conversation on campus, one full of rigor and less blind spots because our students had seen the realities there. And so many of the students changed. Another thing about energy is that there's potential energy. And what does that become? Kinetic energy. For example, Arman was one of our alumni, and he became a Fulbright scholar, and now he's back in Jordan studying Palestinian refugees and their health conditions. Megan Braun became a Rhodes Scholar, and she went to Oxford, and now she's writing articles on the implications of drones and warfare. And me, I became a PhD student in political theory. It's very different from what I used to want to be, which was a tattoo artist. And 8 years ago, I did get a tattoo on my wrist, and it's what? Energy. Inspired by this biological textbook that read, "The capacity to cause change." That was its definition of energy. And indeed, the Olive Tree Initiative is energy, because when you ask these alumni, would you have done this if it weren't for the Olive Tree Initiative? They say no. Just practically speaking, they went back to the organizations that they had met while they were on the trip. And so, it would be a pity, wouldn't it, to lose track of all these people who went on the Olive Tree Initiative to do great things. Yes, it would be a pity. That's why, in addition to our main website, which you should visit, we have created a website just for the Olive Tree Initiative alumni. And right now, it only has a few dots, but soon next week, when we launch, it will be covered with over 250 dots, each representing an alumnus who has gone on in life to do something great that has something to do with those issues. And when you click on the dot, you'll see who they are, you will see what they're working on, you'll get their contact information, and you can plan face-to-face meetings. Because although the internet is big these days, blah, 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 what's important is the face-to-face contact, as we have always emphasized. So today, the Olive Tree Initiative has spread to 8 different campuses in the United States. We now have a chapter in Scotland. We now don't just go to Israel, Palestine, but before we go to that region, we go to Washington, D.C. to meet our leaders. And we go to the UN in New York. And now we also go to Turkey, Armenia. And we have plans for India, Kashmir. And so as you can see, it's not just about Israel, Palestine, it's a philosophy. Today, I've told you a story about the Olive Tree Initiative through my eyes, but really it's a story of how, through engaging conflict beyond simplistic sound bites, through experiential education, can lead to empowered young leaders. Now, if you all have not yet noticed, this whole 5-minute presentation has itself been a soundbite. And so I ask you to go beyond it and join us at the Olive Tree Initiative. Thank you.